What's up, everybody? Spirit with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Space Engineers Programming 101. So, yeah, about the last episode, I recorded it. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I recorded it the same way I record all the other episodes, and it just did not work. I don't know. I closed out, I told it to stop recording on XSplit, and went over to the folder, and I had a file that said 0 kilobits. And it said there was a problem with a header file, so yeah. And it was like, I recorded it on the, Friday, the night before it was supposed to be rendered and going up, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning when I got done with it, and I was like, you know what? Sorry guys, I'm just not going to be able to put one out, I'm exhausted. So I went for over like an hour and 10 minutes discussing what we did and things we were trying, and it didn't pan out. Now, the good news is it was a lot of trial and error that I have since resolved. I tried a few different things that ultimately didn't really end up panning out to work or be a better decision, so it doesn't really matter. One thing is the new jump drive got added last week in the update that was only a couple days before I recorded that episode. So I wanted to add the jump drive. It won't be necessary to add it into the power status code, because the power status code is always going to look for anything with a maximum power and a current power and blah 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 blah. So that's fine. What I wanted to add though was a way to monitor it in terms of what's being powered, you know, all that crap. So let's see here. I changed the, wait a minute, why is none of this running now? Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh, and I think I was supposed to paste, yeah, okay. We're gonna, ooh. Block groups and no extension method accepting a first art. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold the phone. Oh no, did they actually take it out finally? Does not contain a block definition for blocks. Oh crap. So best overloaded. Ooh, this is bad. This is bad. That's basically all the grid terminal system. So what happened, or what I think happened, actually let me see if I can just go ahead and tab over. Normally I don't do this because, well, mostly because I don't like running Space Engineers in the background because it makes my fan kick up louder, but just for the immediate I want to show off what I think is going on here. Where is the setup? Here. So, Sandbox iMicroTerminal does not contain a definition for block groups. So, I've seen this recently when I was working with Visual Studios in here, that it would mention every once in a while that, like, some of this stuff was, you know how we saw in a couple episodes ago or something that it said it was going to be altered in a later date or something like that? So that's not good, because now I've got to figure out get block groups, list block groups, get blocks, and then we need to provide a list. Ooh, okay. Ooh, what is that? That's new. Search blocks of name. What does it say? Search blocks of name, string, list blocks. Huh, that's kind of cool that you could check to see if there's a block in the group. Gets the system.type of the current instance. I don't know what that does. Get block with name is fine. Get blocks of type should be fine, theoretically. Well, crap, so that means we've got to do block lists now. Blah. Blah. This could be bad. Alright, so tell you what. Since I basically have that saved in there, let's go through. Is there anything else? I don't see anything else. So let's go through these one at a time and check for... I don't know if I can just display... No, I don't think I can without running it, which doesn't really do any good. Anything with the red? I hope there's nothing in this update function, because it's obviously like our biggest one. Yeah, no, good. Sweet. And how about you? Sweet. And that one's fine. So, the biggest thing we're going to have to look at is the original setup thing. Now, we can change this around a little bit, actually, by making a single list of blocks. I think. Like, just for now, let's do a block grid variable, and we're gonna go, dang, what is it? Grid, terminal system, oh wait, no. Oh, that might be what, maybe we do declare a grid terminal system now. Wonder if that'll work. Hold on. Grid, so what do we need for get block groups? We need a list of block groups, and then for blocks we need a list of blocks. So I need to declare one for groups for identifying the OS. Let's make block grid variables. So list my block group, and then we'll call this groups. New list my block group. Will that hold? Can I declare it in one? I think I can. Yeah. Okay, we're good. And my... What was this one? Get blocks is just terminal blocks. Okay. So my terminal block. We'll call this blocks equals new list my terminal block. Okay. So now what I think we'll need to do is basically add another variable here. Tell you what, let me go ahead and pause this just for a second. I'm going to close out Space Engineers to quiet my fan down, and then we'll be back in a second. Okay, now, normally I would cut some of this out for just ease of use purposes so that you guys don't have to watch every little detail and everything, but this part might actually benefit people, because if you're getting into this newer, since they've updated the mod kit apparently, or not mod kit, what am I talking about, the internal scripting language and stuff, variables and things like that, this is something that might really trip everybody up, like, wait, I could do this before, why won't it? Because that screwed me up for a minute. I'm like, wait, what am I doing here? So let's do set up blocks as a variable, or a method, sorry, and we're going to add it up here to the startup function. Yeah, because the main loop just asks for if it's start. Yeah, okay, we're good for that. So off the bat here, we need to set up block groups, and then set up blocks. So let's see, we have a list, so let's do grid terminal, get block groups, we'll call this groups. I see what they're doing though, that's actually way easier than doing all of this just to access the block groups. It'll cut down on looping, which is actually really good because that's not as hard on the CPU and everything. So get blocks and then blocks. Alright, so that works. And I'm basically just going to go through, we checked all this. I need to go through and find the ones that have this stuff, right? Like, I need to make sure that we're accessing anything with these red lines. Ooh, what is this? Best overloaded, wait a minute, what? Local variable, all inventory items. The best overloaded method match for generic list exists. Has some invalid arguments? When did that happen? Worked before. Real quick, let's just try this. All items dot exists. Predicate match. So that's what I did. On my inventory, right? You do name dot content subtype name. Oh wait, maybe that's what it is. Equals item 2. I might, because subtype name I believe is a string, I might need to do a comparator here, like the way that you compare strings. I might have to do something like that, but anyways, what I want to do through here is basically go through and find anything that's like this, where it's blocks and stuff, and we're going to need to update this code so that it works fine. If it's not got any red underlines, I'm not super worried about it because it should run fine, but we tend to do this a lot apparently. Now get block with name still works, it's just if we're actually looping through the blocks or the block groups that we'll need to change. And I do intend to, depending on how long this takes, if we get it done relatively quickly, it won't be a big deal. If it takes a minute to do, though, it might take up the episode, I'm not sure. If it doesn't take up the episode, then my goal for this episode is to kind of just fill in all the blank functions that we have not really finished. And just get it functional. Like, I just want to have all the functions in place, basically, to get everything working and doing all the different things that I wanted it to do. For now, let me just comment this out so that it's still visible for me to kind of compare to. And we'll go from there based on this. So what I don't quite understand, though, is we still kind of have to loop through it. Oh, I know. Actually, we don't need to comment this out. So instead of this, what we're going to replace it with is groups, right? Is that going to fix it? I think that'll fix it. Because now we're no longer needing to... Yeah, okay. So it's basically we just need to go through and replace these with the new variables that we declared. And I think that will fix it. Okay, no red lines. That is a bit cleaner, but we are still kind of having to loop through everything, I believe. We're still having to loop through all the groups in groups, check the name, then loop through the blocks and add it, and then check for the text pan. Yeah, so we still kind of have to do the same thing. So I guess it doesn't really cut down on looping, really. it mostly is just making it set up as a variable instead of always using or accessing the grid terminal system, which, I mean, I don't personally see a difference in that. Like, it kind of makes you add an extra step, actually, rather than just being able to access it through the grid, but whatever. I mean, it might come into play in some fashion for... It cleans the code up a bit, just a smidge, in terms of not having it be like grid terminal system dot blocks dot this dot that, you know, like you're able to access it with one variable, which is cool, but we also ended up having to add a whole nother setup to add that code in. So I don't know how I feel about that. I personally don't think I really like, I feel like it should have been an option, but you might have wanted to leave those accessible. Now, unless there's a reason they wanted to close off the variable itself, like grid terminal system dot blocks, from being publicly accessible, that would make more sense also. I don't know why all of these ended up being expanded. I don't remember expanding that. Okay, so for this part, what I was talking about was the subtype name, I believe, is a string. I think. Let's check that out, actually. So get items. So let's say item. Whoa. Where am I? No. Come up here. Items at I dot content dot whoa. Do we not have a subtype name? Is that the problem? Oh, wait, no, there it is. I forget how to get it to... Normally IntelliSense will highlight the thing and tell you what this is. So it probably needs to have a comparator done to it. And what that is sometimes, depending on what you're doing, when something is a string, you do... Tell you what, let's actually copy this out and paste it back in here. It's still going to give us a red line, but that's fine because I'm actually going to get rid of this and say dot compare. I don't know why my IntelliSense is like freaking out right now that it's not giving me like anything to work with. Let's do... Does it have like a name or a content, V-Rate object builder? What does this return? Oh, it returns that. Subtype name dot... Yeah, I'm not getting any of my IntelliSense stuff, and that's kind of what I need. So let's just for this, I want to declare that, and then temp. I'm going to basically use this to, yeah, compare to. So compares this instance with a specified string object that indicates whether this instance precedes, follows, or appears in the same position in sort order. Blah 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 blah. So it basically will compare to another object. Content dot subtype name, or is it? Okay, now I might. Yeah. Okay. See, that's fine. So what I need to do is paste this in here. Now, are you still going to break on me or not? Let's get rid of this so that I can clear that up. Otherwise, I don't really know what's wrong with this because, I mean, it exists, ask for a predicate value, which is exactly what this is, that you're making a predicate. Contains elements that match the condition defined by a specified predicate. Name, content, subtype name, oh, wait, that's... Oh. That's probably what it is. I didn't really want to loop through all the items when you can do an exists function, but it's not taking it correctly. Like I really feel it's because of this up here. This is from the object builders, and it's saying it doesn't exist in the namespace. Tell you what, let me derp around with this for a second and see if I'm missing or if they've updated how to include the object builder instance or something like that. Okay, so I found the problem, and boy, was it an issue as far as locating it. You'll notice the object builder is no longer throwing an exception. So if we look over here in the references, there's a new one because vrage.game is a new one. That was not one that we had in the references before. And you'll have to add reference, go to the bin folder inside your Steam Space Engineers folder. And then down in here, there's vrage.game.dll, and apparently they've moved some stuff like the object builders over to that DLL file, so that's necessary. As soon as I added that in, the original code here worked fine, so we didn't actually need to change anything with that, which is awesome. Okay, whew. So that was fun. That was definitely fun to try and find. So I'm pretty sure everything else will work. I just have to go through and change all of this to blocks. Oh, that looks fine. So let's collapse that. Actually, I'm not really thinking we'll have to rewrite anything. I was kind of afraid that we were going to have to do that, but now that I've kind of taken a look at it and it looks okay, I don't think we actually need to do anything with it. We just need to change all these references, basically. I think. Because it looks like it's going well. So, yeah. Again, not too thrilled. One of my big issues with all of this stuff is when they make changes like this, I can't ever find any actual documented stuff on, oh, you're going to need to change this, by the way, because we completely, you know, changed some of these reference areas and files, and like I didn't see anything in the changelog or anything like that. Like, you really have to go digging or look at forums or, you know, really weird stuff. And I think we might be done with all that. I'm not seeing any more red references. Okay. So what we want to do is come up here. We're going to grab that, back this up. Alright. And now let's close all this back down. Nope. What did I hit? Toggle outlining expansion? No, I don't know what that was. So we have all of these in place. The solar status is done, power status is done, uranium status is done, I believe. One thing I wanted to go over are a few things that I went over in the last episode but failed to actually capture because obviously that episode never recorded. Where is it? It's in the calculate power status function, I believe. I changed the percentage to basically take into account if it's, and I wanted to change this too, if it's less than 100, then basically show the percentage. If it's greater than or equal to 100, display overload. The reason it has to be greater than or equal to is because I found that in the game there is no greater than, really. It's basically equal to. That if it can't actually support everything that you're trying to do, then the current output will equal the maximum output because it's output, not basically load. It's not like how much you need, it's the output that your generators can put out. So when you hit those overload points where it's like, you know, on your HUD it goes red and it says power overload, it's basically saying it's at 100%. There is no 101%, basically, because it's only going to go up to its maximum. So I put this in here so that your screens will actually display if you're overloaded or not. Instead of saying max and current are equal to this, well, it will say max and current are equal to the same thing, and then in power usage it'll say an overload instead of a percentage number. That's one thing I changed. I don't really think anything else changed. I did add this phase, this jump drive status for your jump drive, and this is for testing at the moment. It basically grabs the jump drive, which is an iMyJumpDrive class. Grid terminal get block with name. For now it's just jump drive because that's what I had. I might have to change this to like 1 or something because I think I deleted it and replaced it. I'm not sure if that'll make a difference or not. Write to the screen the custom name and then information, and then write the detailed info. Then I had it make a list of actions, get the actions, loop through them, and display the action IDs, which is essentially the names. And I might take this out. I had it doing a new line after each one, but I think there's a new line character installed in them because it seemed like it was already looping through. After that, we display the block definition so that I could check and see if it had jump drive, which I believe it does, but for now that's fine. And you'll see I put testing code all over it because I wanted to play around with the jump drive to see what was going on. We also wrote in the maximum power script. I forgot to mention that too, which basically what it's going to do is we get a list of actions, blank list. We loop through all of the blocks, and then if the blocks are not equal to a rotor or a piston, because sometimes we want to leave those in certain places, or like a rotor, we have it off already or it's on already or whatever, and if you turn it off or on, it screws up where the position is. So I didn't want to mess with pistons or rotors, but this maximum power is like turn everything on your ship on. It's not maximum power output, and if we decide to change the names, that's fine. Let me know what you guys think, if you'd rather maximum power be like turn on all of your batteries or something type of thing, or if I was thinking of it like minimum power is going to be turn off anything that you don't need. Max is like turn everything on. So basically it loops through and finds everything that's not a rotor or not a piston, gets the actions for that block, and then it loops through the actions, and if the action .id contains on, off, on, which is the manual toggle for on, then it applies that action to that block that it came from. The reason I'm doing it this way is so that you're not going to get any errors by trying to turn something on when there is nothing to turn on, such as a solar panel or something, or what's some of the other blocks, like a cockpit or something, that there is nothing to turn on. I'm pretty sure that would throw an exception or an error if you just put blocks at I dot apply action on, off, on. There's some blocks that it would be like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I didn't really want to do that. So I had it get all the actions and loop through and see if it found the on-off action and turn it on and off. Now for minimum power, this one's going to be a little different. What I want to do is actually loop through and turn off anything that isn't needed, basically. This is a little bit more tricky because what we want to do is we want things such as, let's see here, reactors, batteries, oxygen tanks, oxygen generators, farms, solar farms. Yeah, I think they're called solar farms, actually. I'm not entirely sure about that. Vents. I don't know if those... I think you can turn those on and off. We don't want them to deactivate. Let's see. What else? Gyroscopes. We wouldn't want to turn off. Thrusters. I'm looking for things that we don't want to disable and then basically turn everything else off, in essence, is what I'm looking for. So to do that, like I'm making kind of a list in in here real quick, going through various different things I can think of offhand. Again, I don't think we want to turn pistons and rotors off, because if you have a ship that has some kind of construction that requires the pistons and rotors to be at a certain position, we don't want to disable them. Medical rooms, we wouldn't want to disable. Let's see, is there anything else? Assemblers, refineries, all that crap's fine, because those draw power and we don't really need them to. Gravity you can live without. Doors is probably one you don't want to turn off. The only thing is, it wouldn't really matter too much, only in that once they turn off you couldn't go anywhere, and that would be a little bit of a problem. So we'll include doors so that it doesn't turn them off. I'm trying to think of what else. If you're low on power and you're minimum, I would think, and this is user preference really, but the way I'm coding it, I would think weapons wouldn't be a big deal, because you're more concerned with conserving your energy so that you can keep flying and find a way to some other place to get power, more so than defense. So I'm going to not include weapons at the moment. I tell you what, we're actually going to do something a little interesting here. Let's collapse everything real quick. Where is inventory? Or wait, we'll do this on another screen. For now, I'm going to grab what we have and take it over to the game. And first of all, make sure that it works. And if it does, then we'll go about editing the rest of this. Okay, so it's a really good sign that when I did that, when I pasted it in, it went back to the main menu, because that means it's running again. It's compiling, and I'll explain what all this crap is in a minute. So let's see. Yep, back to being able to move around. So let's check power. Jump drive is here. It does not display. Huh. That's weird. Where's jump drive? Okay, so it's jump drive 2. That's why. Okay. And that's the object reference. Okay, I wasn't sure about that. Where is jump drive? That's uranium status. Should be right in here. So for now, of course, this won't be here. Wait, there it is. Actually, for now it's fine, because I'm still playing around with how I want to do the jump drive. But if we add 2, because that's what it actually says. Let's see if that works. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Where's LCD main display? So, jump drive 2 information. Type is jump drive. It lists the max required input, stored power, current input, stored power. Oh, that's stored, that's max. Fully recharged in, max jump distance, which actually would be pretty cool. You could probably calculate that into something and use it later. And its actions are on-off toggle, on-off on, on-off off, recharge, recharge on-off, increase jump distance, decrease jump distance, and its block definition is jump drive, or large jump drive, depending on, I guess you can put it on small ships too. So that's good to know. So, okay. We got, oops, we got all that. If we check power status, we're at 2.69. How is that? It was overloaded a minute ago. Max required is 32 megawatts. That's why this is not on active mode, I guess. So if I turn that off... Or wait, no, it was in recharge mode because when I first placed the block down, it was recharging. So it was drawing those 32 megawatts, and we're at 23.17. So that's not good as far as that thing can draw a crap load of power. And I will admit, I did some testing during the last episode that never aired, and I did some changing to things. Turns out my fuel time is almost spot on, that I ended up going back to the code I had from the previous episode instead of the one that I had altered to do any rounding or, you know, whatever, because that ended up being off. So I don't know what was happening in the last episode that didn't match the HUD, because everything I tried in that episode that didn't air last week, after changing it from the original code from the actual last episode that did air where we worked on the fuel time, everything I tried, it ended up being right. So I don't know what I did in the last episode that I was like, oh, I need to change this, because apparently I don't. It's accurate, which is awesome. Now. What I did here was I rigged this programmable block with a really simple code, actually. If you ever want to figure out what things are, just do this. So with the new system, I added a blocks list, made the display connected with the name, populated the blocks list, clear the display in case you've already written on it, and then loop through the blocks and basically just tell it to write out the block definition right here of that current block, show public text, and update the visuals. That's all you got to do. And then just run it, and you'll get this, which basically is just a huge list of block definitions that you can use to access the types. This works in case somebody's changed the name of something. You can actually look through and look for the type of block. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to only leave things we want to not disable. So assemblers can go away, refineries can go away, gyros and gravity generators we want to keep. Can I do an end? Sweet. Cockpit you can't turn on and off, I don't think, so we're going to remove that. I'll have to double check that to be sure. And oops. Let's clean this up. Medical rooms, reactors we want, though I don't need to list all of them. Cargo containers won't matter. Interior lights we definitely don't want to leave on, so we're going to remove those. Antennas, I don't care at the moment. Batteries we want to keep, but we're only going to list one of them. Connectors, no. Text panels I do think I want to keep on, and programmable blocks. Mostly because of if we don't, then it'll disable the OS, and you can't turn it back on then unless you go manually and turn the programmable block in the panel on. That said, we also need to leave the timer block, I think. No, we haven't been doing a timer block, so we'll get rid of the timer block. Buttons I'm going to keep just in case you've rigged up your ship to where doors or something is hidden behind a wall and you can't actually access the control panel. Just in case. They don't require that much power, I don't think. If at all. Gyros we already listed. Thrust we want to keep because those are thrusters. We already have programmable blocks. Jump drive I'm going to disable because those things have a crap ton of power. Solar panels don't matter. Oops. We already did text panels. Now, virtual mass, they're artificial mass blocks, and that's why I placed them down because I'm not familiar with some of these types. The reason I want to keep virtual mass on is just in case this is like a big ship of yours on a planet, right? We want to be able to keep you grounded, type of thing. Now, planets should already have their own gravity, so we can turn off gravity. But if it's not affected by gravity, I'm going to leave artificial mass in there. We can always change it later. Oxygen farms is the actual object type. Cryo chambers I forgot about. You definitely don't want to turn those off. Air vents, oxygen tanks, and oxygen generators. I believe, if I'm missing anything, please let me know something that you want added. But I believe these are the minimum blocks that you would need to keep your ship moving, powered, and all of your life support and things active. I think. So we're going to leave that there for future reference. So, tell you what. Instead of pasting this in here, I am going to tab back over to Visual Studios. We're going to throw a few things together, and then we'll probably jump back here one last time for actually testing the final script, but I want to actually add some of this crap in here. Alrighty, so here we are back again in our favorite environment here. So we're on the minimum power system, and I've pasted in all of the objects that we want to keep active. And I'm going to name this the keep active or on list. Alright. I am going to expand maximum power because we can basically copy this. What we're going to do is, let's see, we're going to turn this to off, first of all. Now comes the fun part. We're going to copy this, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 on top of these two. Now, what I want to see, I believe I can do that, and without issue. Right, so let's just go down the list here. If it contains gyro. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these sub list sections, I think, because it's like large block gyro instead of just looking for gyro. Because I don't really care if it's on a large ship or not, we just need the root block type. We don't really need, because we're being very broad, we don't actually need the specifics. Actually, some of these we're just going to do by one word. So we don't, but just for simplification's sake. There we go. Alright, and let's recopy this. So basically, we're just looping through this and going, if it's not this, 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 and this, essentially, then get the actions. If it can be turned off, then turn it off. Everything else we're going to leave on. So gyros, gravity. I do think I am going to be somewhat specific, like gravity generator and stuff. Wait, no. We don't care about gravity. That's right. What am I doing? This needs to be medical room. Never mind. I might just leave that as medical. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know how gravity generator snuck its way in there. I specifically said that that wouldn't be a problem. Reactor? You know what? Let me just copy this whole thing. That way I don't have to paste it in every time. Battery. Text. Let me just paste these in. Text. Programmable, button, thruster, virtual mass, oxygen, farm, tank, and generator we can handle with one. Cryo, and vent. And that should be our last one. So after battery, we have text panel. Oops. And this has to be exact unless you want to do conversion with, you know, manipulating the strings, basically. I'm going to put button... No, it doesn't really matter. If it's a button, I want to leave it on, so that's fine. Thrust... mass, just in case they end up changing it from virtual. And this one we're just going to do oxygen, so that will handle farm, tanks, and generators because it does contain oxygen. Vent and cryo. Alright, so essentially it's going to check if it contains any of the, or if it doesn't contain any of these, and if it doesn't, gets the actions, loops through the actions. If it has an off, apply it to the block, basically. And like I said, we can add cockpit in here. I might want to, just as a precaution. But I don't believe you can actually turn off a cockpit, so it doesn't really matter. But it won't matter, because as soon as it flags that it contains cockpit, it'll turn it off. So, I mean, it won't turn it off because it'll just move forward, so it's fine. So our minimum should be done. We should be able to call that, and it will turn off any non-essential object, essentially. Now, we do not have some of these set up, I don't believe. Inventory we've handled. Power we've handled. For the most part, the jump drive one still has some things we've got to work out, but all the basic implications are there. Refinery we don't have, and oxygen we don't have. So let's take a peek at these. Now let me see if we've actually set up the update selection functions. Refinery, no, I have not. Okay. So what I need to do is set up under refinery. We have refinery status, enable, disable, and show all. So I'll change out the comments later. Refinery status, enable, disable, refinery. Oops. And what was the last one? I know, I just pasted that in there to copy it out. Show all refineries. And then we'll get rid of this one. Well, yeah, I'm going to get rid of it for now. We can always add something in later. So that adds that to the list. Now oxygen, let me go ahead and grab these actually. And we'll just collapse that down. We'll go work on oxygen here. I'm just going to paste this in and then get rid of it. So we'll call this O2 status. O2 farm controls, and that we might have to jump back into the game for because I don't entirely know what the controls are. Generator controls. I think for now, as a placeholder, we'll just do off-on stuff. And then get more specific in maybe the next episode. That should handle all of that. We have inventory sub here. Refinery sub. Let me copy the power ones, because I think power we had a few. Or wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's copy that and throw that in the oxygen, because there should be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll call this O2 status. Farm controls. Is that right? I can't remember what I added in here just now. Okay, farm controls, generator controls, tank controls. Actually, let me copy this one. And then I can just change this out. Generator and tank. And we will want to change the sub. Wait a minute, where'd I go? There it is. Up, down, that's all fine. We want to change this to oxygen, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the main menu that it goes back to. All of the casing and everything has to be precise as well. And let me... There's no numbers here. This is all by string, which is good. So let me just grab... Actually, let me grab one of these at a time, and I can just paste them in. 1, 2, 3. Though there does need to be spaces between them. And refineries was refinery... Wait, how did I do that? Where'd it go? That's power. Refinery status, enable, disable, and show all. Refinery status. Enable, disable. Did I do that as just one refinery or refineries? Let's make this refineries. I'm self-conscious of this, like if I'm spelling this right. I think so. And then I'll just copy that one out for the last one. Okay. So we've added all that to the update selection. Now what we need to add to is this one, I think. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to copy this. We'll go ahead and take care of the refinery because it's 3 as well. And we'll call this... Wait a minute. Display all... Okay, so that's... I think that's the same way. Refinery status. Enable, disable refineries. And show all refineries. Right. Okay. So that one's in play. That's... Oh, I didn't... Oh, I see. I didn't do the submenu things. That's what was confusing me. I was like, something does not look right here. I don't really have to do this right now, I suppose. I'll go ahead and finish this one off, and then we'll skip this on the oxygen one. I keep wanting to put an I there, and there is no I there. I don't know why don't know what I'm doing. O2 status? I know, I just said I wasn't doing that, didn't I? And I'm just going to do this one because there's no comment here to hold it in place. So O2 tank controls. Alright, so this one we need O2 status. Farm controls. Generator controls and tank controls. There we go. So theoretically all this is in place. Oh, that would have been really bad. Really, really bad. I didn't change any of these. Whew. So refinery status. Enable, disable. I don't think I can do... I can't do a slash there, I don't think, for syntax purposes. Show all refineries. And then down here, O2 farm controls. O2 generator controls. And I'll copy that one. To status. Now we have to add all of these functions, but that's fine. So everything in here should be set up now to where we can do various different things that we need to do. I've got inventory, methods. So here we should put refinery methods. Oops. And eventually we might want to add like assemblers and things like that, but I just haven't gotten around to that pretty much. But that could be in another version of the script. I just kind of want to add some of this stuff in, even if it's bullet pointed or stubbed out, mostly just so we can kind of write it off as version 1 is completed, basically. And actually, in the interest of time, I might go ahead and pause the video, do some of this like stuff without testing it first exactly, and just code it all in, and then we'll go over it together. So give me just a second, and I will get to that. Whew. Okay, so I think, take that with a grain of salt, but I think I've got everything in play. Now, I did have to move a few things around, so I'm going to go over it from top to bottom. First thing, what did I change here? Oh, I added a list to hold all the refineries, and I added lists to hold all the oxygen generators, tanks, farms, and air vents, which I completely forgot about. That sucks. I totally forgot to use the air vents. Alright, well, so I might not be completely done. Let's see. Under startup, I added a couple of things. Set up refineries, set up O2 blocks mainly. So under setup refineries, pretty much just loops through the blocks, looks for them to contain refineries, and adds them to the refinery list as IMyRefineries. Pretty straightforward. I could have done terminal blocks, I suppose, but it just seemed like it was easier this way. Under O2 blocks, similar. It just checks if it contains oxygen generator, oxygen farm, oxygen tank, and air vent, and loads them into the appropriate list depending on the outcome of that. Now, the tricky part here was with update selection. Now, I had methods for all of these, as I've kind of tended to do like this, where you have a method per each submenu, but you'll notice for refineries, there's only refinery status and show all. There is no enable disable. And similar with oxygen method, there's only an O2 status. You don't see anything else. So let me go over why. Mostly it has to do with being able to select something. So you'll notice in the main menu we have the if input up down. It moves back and forth depending on the menu options. And select changes the subcategory, basically, or selected menu item. And it works that way through all the main ones, but most of the submenus, we ended up, I might want to put, for now I think I'm just going to include the vents in the O2 status. I don't think, well, no, I probably should make another one. It's fine. It'll allow me to actually explain thoroughly what's going on with the thing. So O2 vent controls. Okay, and then I'll add one in here as we go. So you'll notice a lot of these, though, they're set up for the scrolling system, not selecting, and there's like a back button. Now, the up and down part works when you're not doing a selection menu, when you're just wanting to scroll through the various different things. It doesn't, hold on just a second. I just realized my mic is kind of out of place. Okay, sorry about that. It doesn't, however, make it cohesive for selecting something. It's basically just scrolling through information, which is bad. I mean, if you're trying to select something, that's not going to work at all. So, when we get down here to the refineries, the refinery status is fine because that's all we want to do. But when we get to enable, I need it to be able to look through the individual refineries and select them to turn them on and off. So for this, instead of a menu option, selected menu item equals refineries.count -1 if it's up or, you know, whatever. So the selected menu item is just an integer, and it's capped by the count of the refineries, in essence. So how many refineries we have in the list. When you hit select, it's just going to hit refineries at selected menu item dot apply action, and it's going to be on off instead of on off underscore on or underscore off, so that we're toggling from one to the other. And when you hit back, you hit refinery. And show all is another display when you're not active, so that one's fine. When we get down here to the oxygen, we have a similar situation. The first one is just a display. It's going to give you information and you'll be able to scroll. Controls, however, let me go ahead and copy this one. Controls is where you can scroll through each one, and then when you hit select, you can turn it on and off. So I've basically just duplicated this 3 times. Actually, let me just duplicate this whole thing since I don't have a spot for vents. And we'll make this vent controls. And for that, we'll do O2 vents. I think that's the list, yeah. And then we just basically copy all those. Now, vents and tanks have more than one control. You don't necessarily just turn them on and off. There is stockpile options, and for vents there's depressurize options. At the moment I am already running on an hour for this episode, and it's already taken me about 4 probably to do all this episode between all the cutting and pausing. So at the moment, I'm just toggling them on and off. In a later version of the script, we will add in some way, shape, or form either a submenu or something to where you can go in and select if you want to turn it on and off, or if you want to depressurize it. And for like this one, what I'll probably do is add another menu control for depressurize. And it would be like, what area do you want to depressurize? And stuff like that. It might not be individual vents and individual tanks, but we'll see. Okay, so that's it for the update selection. Now the next step is the update visuals, or display, sorry. That one was also a little trickier. And again, I could make a method where you pass the input selection to a method and then you dictate whether or not you want to stockpile it, turn it off and off, whatever. At the moment, with one option of disabling it or enabling it, it was just easier to set it up this way. So that's what I'm doing. That may change as we add more functionality. I don't know yet. So under right menu display, this is how we've done the selection process, and I've copied this into some of these other ones where, like this, where it's enable, disable. If it's just going to display, I usually pass it to the method, and the method can display the information. Now, I did get a little tricky here. We compare the selected menu item, and if it equals the current refinery, then we write refinery custom name toString. Otherwise, this is almost identical code. Now, this part gets different. It's an inline if statement, and I'm relatively sure it'll work, but I have to admit I haven't really worked with these that much. So we put a colon here, and then we'd say refineries at I, if it is working, and then you have this, oh crap, we have this little question mark as basically an if statement operator. So basically what this is saying is if this comes back true, we go with on. If not, we go what's on the other side of the colon, which is off. And then we finish the rest of the line. Same thing here, we're just missing the brackets because it's not selected. And I basically did that for the O2 farm controls and everything like that as well. Because oh, and I never changed these. And I'm doing that because while we've got the controls set up to I should have taken all of this actually. While we have the controls set up to make selections, we have to visually represent it, so that was kind of my easiest solution for doing that. And let me go ahead and copy that, and we'll just switch all this out to vents. There we go. So now we can select our vents. So that's the display part of the menu. And that does it for selecting those things, because we've already handled what happens in the selection update. Now, for the refinery status, this one was relatively simple. I just went through, and if it equaled... Actually, hold on a minute. Do I actually need refinery status? Tell you what, I think I wrote this a while ago before I did this, so let's just do this with refineries. We can take this entire if statement out, really, and then we can shift tab this back one, and we'll do this as refineries. Alright, that should be better. So now what we're doing is we'll loop through the refineries and display their custom names and their status. And then if it is working, we say it's on. If it's not, off. Eventually, I'll add more to this in terms of efficiency, productivity, all that kind of stuff because of the add-ons. For now, I'm just not really worried about it. I just want to get the basics done. For show all refineries, this is just displaying all of the refineries. It's a little redundant, but I just have it in there for, reasons basically, but originally I wasn't sure what refinery information we could display with this, and this was just basically to show you the individual blocks. But if you actually wanted detail on their productivity and whether they were on or off, you would use this one. So it kind of is a 6-to-1 because it's going to show you all the refineries anyway, but whatever. Let me know if you guys think that's redundant and we can just remove it and it doesn't even need to be in there. I may remove it eventually at some point anyway. O2 status. This is basically the same thing. I put a little header file, or not header, well, it is a header, but not a file. It's going to say oxygen generator status, break a couple lines down, and then loop through the generators, give their name, their status, and then if they're on or off. Actually, I don't... Oh, this is O2 status. Okay. So this is basically duplicating what the individual selection ones are. We just can't do anything with them. Farms are here, and it also is... I'm substringing. I'm using the detailed info.substring, and then an index of the oxygen output so that hopefully we can start the string right here, and then it'll just display oxygen output and then how much it's outputting. Same with tanks. It'll say filled level, and I'm going to duplicate this right down here and say air vents status. We'll change this to O2 vents, and for now I'm going to comment that out. And we are going to change this, but I'm going to comment it out and delete that. Because eventually I might, if I can figure out a way to do substringing or something to find whether or not it's pressurized, that would be kind of a good thing. But for now, I'm just leaving it out. So that'll pretty much wrap everything up. We now have full functionality out of the script. I won't say it's completely done, but I will say that this version is completely done as far as all of the functionality of the basic stuff is in the script now. Again, there's things we can add to it as we go and refine, but we don't have any placeholder just blah things anymore other than the jump drive code. Everything else is actually like functioning type of thing. So let me tab over to Space Engineers and we will check this out and see if it actually runs. Alrighty, so we are back in the world. I've already taken the liberty of copying and pasting in the new code, and remarkably, it actually compiled and seems to be running okay. So, first thing, we have refinery status, which is good. It seems to be working. Now, we only have one, but it should be enough. Oh, wow. Okay. That needs to be changed. I somehow managed to set up in the refinery things that it goes back to power. That's not good. So let's go ahead and copy that. I don't know where else. I thought I fixed that, but I guess I only did it for one. So show all refineries. Okay. Now let's check the oxygen just to make sure that I didn't do the same thing. I think I got this one. Oxygen, 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 and oxygen. Okay, cool. Now, yes, I want to remember. One thing that we probably should do, just for testing purposes, is I've already got a couple of these blocks here just because I was testing the for the block definition, but let's go ahead and throw a few more down just so we can see if the script is actually responding how we want it to. And I'm going to do a couple of these in a different direction so that we get a little different result. Let's do one of those, and let's do a couple of these, and get rid of that. Where's a refinery? I need to throw a couple more refineries down. because... Okay. This world is getting very cluttered. The joys of testing. Okay. Now, let's try this again. Refinery status. So test refinery 2 and 3 is on. We can move. And again, show all refinery just won't show on or off. It'll just be there. Now. Ooh, that's not good. They're not moving back and forth. That should be enable, disable. Wait a minute, where did the refinery ones go? It's inventory. Oh, here it is. Need to take that out. Refinery submenus. Okay, this one makes sense. This one does not. Selected menu item, greater than 0. If selected menu item is... if selected menu item is equal to 0 and I'm pressing up, count -1. Might not need the -1, I don't know. That might be the problem, that might be the problem because it's only going up and down, but it's not going anywhere because there's only 3, and in both up and down, it's limited. Okay. Okay. Let's try that then. Before... was that the only one? Yeah, that was the only one. Okay. So on the oxygen ones, let's go ahead and do the same thing, because I'm relatively sure that that is going to be an issue. That should fix it, theoretically. If not, we have the code backed up in Visual Studios, and I can always just cut and paste it back in. No harm, no foul. But I believe, because I set the code up pretty much the same. Now, the other thing is I might need to change it in the right display menu as well. Because in these I was using a menu options. Oh wait, no, I might have already done that. Yeah, okay. They're good to go. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, refinery status, show all, that works. Nope. Nope. It's not letting me do anything. Weird. And it's not throwing an error either. Huh. Well, the selected menu items have worked before. And it's clearly getting the information because it's populating the list. Under select, enable, disable refineries. All that works. So I don't really understand, to be quite honest, why that's not functioning properly, because if current menu is equal to one of these, input equals up, wait a minute. I know why. This is refineries. Pretty sure that was the problem. Let me check right display and make sure that I corrected that to... yeah, refinery. Okay. I hadn't checked the power one, or the oxygen one. I think that was the problem. Yep. There we go. And as it happens, now there is a dead space. Dang. Alright. Well, let's try this then. Paste. Oops. Crap. Hold on. Let me... it won't probably be in the recording. But let me just tab over. You might be seeing my mouse. I think I had it set up to show my mouse. Unfortunately, so that's my bad. Here we go. paste that in. Now, under... what is it that we changed? We don't need to change the count list, but I do need to change the refineries reference, which is below this. Refinery submenus. Oh, and the power thing. That was the other thing. Refinery. This one needs to be refineries. Refinery. Power. This needs to change. Alright. Now we should be good to go. Okay. Down. Perfect. Now that's the only thing. If you toggle this, because we're not running on a timer block to update it, you have to move up and down at the moment. Now at some point, if I add a timer block into it, then we wouldn't have to do all that. But at the moment, we do. And we can see that if clause is working too. And we can see that that says it's off, which is cool. Sweet. So that's all working. Oxygen. Oxygen status. And unfortunately we can't scroll. I don't know why. I need to find... let's see. Enable refineries. Where's oxygen? So under O2 status, I have it set up to... oh, wait a minute. Total number of lines. I don't remember... I don't remember where I was declaring that. Dang. Where did that go? I haven't written one of these new menu methods in a long time. And I cannot remember where those go. Inventory method. Has inventory. Ah, here we go. Total number of lines equals block items dot count. Right. Public line. Wait. For int I equals current line. Block items. Okay, so I need to copy this. And we need to add this to pretty much anything that we're going to be scrolling through, which in our case I believe is refinery status equals, let's make this, oh dang, I don't have the block items anymore. Well, there's no spacing. Tell you what, let's try something simple and see if it works. Let's do a string. I don't know if this is the most efficient, I'm just kind of in a hurry, so I want to see if I can get this to work. Let's call it lines equals main display dot get public text dot split by new line character. Ooh, that's a tricky way to do it. And lines dot length. Will you compile this way? Let's do current lines. I don't know why I have it by block items dot count instead of total number of lines, but let's just do again lines dot length. Oh, no, I'm gonna have to rework this because I don't know what I'm doing here. Block items dot string. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on there, so I'm actually going to just remove all that. Never mind. That's not going to work. So at the moment we can't scroll, but that's okay. We'll add that in as I think about it and work on figuring out a way to do it. But this does show our... let me find the main display thing. This does show our status. So we have oxygen generator status, and we could embolden this or add some kind of characters to make it stand out a bit more, and then lower it down to here, maybe. And then it shows oxygen generator status on, There's a bit too many spaces here. I don't know what happened there. Farm status on, output. So it does actually give us the proper output percentage, which is cool. Tanks on, vents on. So that's cool. That's cool. Farm controls. I don't know why it starts with 2. We can scroll. We can turn them on and off. And now we see farm status on and off. Why it's still showing an oxygen output, I don't really know. Maybe that's a creative thing. Like it's still gonna do it. Okay, that was weird. Oh, it's gotta be the starting, because this is selected menu equals 3, and when you drop in here, there's only 2 options. So I can't go down, but I can go back up. So I'll have to fix that. But we can turn that on and off. Oxygen tank, same problem. And we can turn those on and off. Yeah, so I'll have to fix the scrolling system. But yeah, it's all actually working now. And yeah, I'm gonna have to fix the scrolling and the menu select on the other ones. But everything else is actually working really nice. Solar status, looks like it's good. Uranium. Jump drive is broken still. I don't... Oh, I think this was still the code that didn't have the updated title, whatever. The only thing that I didn't try is the full power, minimum power, so we'll try that out. Oh, wait, no, back up. Okay, there's an artificial mass block on here. And so that was turning on, basically. And I'm in the spectator mode, so the camera was, like, going down. Alright, so... apparently I do not have a downward thruster on this thing that really shouldn't be a ship anyway. I don't really know how it ended up being a ship, but whatever. There we go. Oh, no, because I've actually turned off the dampeners now, thinking I didn't have that. There we go. Alright, whatever. I'll fix that. So anyways, we're really, really close. I think somewhere... I have to fix the minimal power. I think maximum power works fine, so I have to fix the minimal power. Because it doesn't even seem to be registering, to be honest. Like, seems like it's just tabbing into a menu, almost. Where's power sub? Here we go. Uranium status, full power, minimal. Yeah, this is set up to just scroll, which so is full power, which I need to fix that because there's no... that shouldn't actually display anything. Like, that should just be the way that it is. But it's weird because I wrote minimum power gets called, and this code should have minimum power in it because we wrote it. I'm gonna be mad if it doesn't because that took a pretty good minute to write. Yeah. So I don't really understand, unless it's this ID thing, that maybe that's not right. I don't know. I don't think it is. But I don't really understand why that wouldn't be working. Actually, let me test that out real quick one more time. I can't really see, of course. Sorry. That's kind of a... Okay. So if I hit minimal power and then back out, what is left on? Are the antennas on? Antennas are on. Mass block's still off. Assembler's on. So it's not really turning anything off. Connectors, all this is still on. So that's not working at all. But I don't really understand why. So anyways, we're going to wrap this episode up here. Not quite ready to tab over to a version 1 or whatever yet. Probably in the next episode, but in the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not used to using XSplit, I'm used to using Fraps where I can just hit a button. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap things up now. Peace.